Good evening, this is Force 13 Live. My name's Nathan Foy, and at some point you'll be able to see me on the screen because that's what the title implies. Hello, here I am. And it's not just myself here during this hour, by the way. We're joined by the Skype team right now, but Tropical Storm Harvey has just formed in the Atlantic, literally in the last 10-20 minutes if you've been watching. Also, tropical cyclone hurricane Gert has weakened and turned post-tropical at the same time, down to 65 miles per hour. And obviously watches and warnings are in effect in the Lesser Antilles. Right now, well, there's another picture of it, and the other webcam of me over there in the top left-hand side, so you don't miss a thing of what's going on in the studio. It's not particularly exciting in here anyway, so we'll just gloss over that. We're joined by the Skype team this hour, consisting of David, Craig, Jason, and Dane. Good evening.
Good evening, and good to be back again.
And there they are. Craig is with a Rubik's Cube this hour.
Yes, I am. I've been trying to solve it all day, and I've not gotten any closer. I've only got halfway through solving the yellow side.
Oh, will you tell us when you solve it, Craig?
I've been attempting for the last 3 days, Dane.
Goodness gracious me. That's quite a laugh right there.
There are people who can solve Rubik's Cubes in like
Within 5
seconds.
So. Yes, I know. Don't rub it in.
Okay. Well, before we get on to those little interesting points here, let's actually go on to what's serious. A tropical storm warning is in effect for Martinique, St. Lucia, Barbados, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Harvey will reach Barbados first, obviously. Obviously, the tropical storm warning means that tropical storm conditions are expected within 24 to 36 hours. I expect it's going to be quite a bit less, at least for Barbados. And a tropical storm watch is in effect for Dominica, which means that tropical storm conditions are possible within the watch area in the next 24 to 36 hours. If you've got any comments or questions for us whilst we're on the air, do let us know, and we'll obviously respond. I don't know how long we're going to be running for tonight. You may have noticed that we weren't on for the Tropical Weather Bulletin last night. That's because there were storms at HQ, believe it or not. That was the reason behind that. Storms at HQ was the official reasoning, and I was filming them, and you will see them pop up somewhere online soon. Well, Craig, you seem most, well, you're the only one we can see right now, so would you like to start us off on your thoughts on Harvey?
Well, Harvey's been one of the storms to watch so far, along with its other other disturbances alongside of it, 92L and then a possible 93L, but that's a bit in the questions yet. As far as I know, the NHC has got it's got the other disturbance at a low chance for now. It was at, I think, 40% earlier today, but now it's down to 30. Once the screen share will load.
Oh, that would be nice.
When I get it up, it would help.
There it is. So this is what we've got going on in the Atlantic right now.
A big mass.
Here's this thing it was known as Gert. Let's just leave that alone. Let it race off at 40 miles an hour, even though it says 39, but still. Here's the other disturbance. It's literally left Africa for about 2 or 3 days ago. It was at 40% in the 5 days earlier today, but now it's been down to 3. Down to 3. Whoa. Today's been terrible. It's down to 30% the next 5 days. Also, 92L.
Those two are heading in the same direction as well. It would appear that they're heading off towards north of the Lesser Antilles and the Greater Antilles, actually. And where would they go next? Any idea?
Well, the models, as far as I've seen, one in particular, GFS, takes 92L north of the Lesser Antilles, doesn't form it in the last few runs, but one of the runs formed it and had it becoming a hurricane, passing north of the Bahamas, maybe hitting the Bahamas, and then hitting northern Florida as a Category 1 hurricane, and then moving up the South Carolinas into North Carolina and so on.
Could you show us the NHC cone on Harvey there?
Yeah, here's our newborn. Oh, the Atlantic newborn.
It's fairly small. much as what you'd expect for these main development region low latitude cyclones.
So earlier, well, in advisory, quote unquote advisory 1 for PTC 9 as it was, Harvey now, it was forecasting a Category 1 hurricane to make landfall in Belize, but now it is forecasting a 70-mile-per-hour tropical storm to make landfall in Belize. Yes.
Are you showing that right now, or are we lagging behind here?
You should be seeing it on the screen.
Oh, there it is now, yes.
Okay.
Yes, there it is.
Right, I was moving a little bit quick. So as you can see here it was forecasting a hurricane to make landfall in Belize.
I think it still could, but now
I think it still could.
Yeah. Now NHC think it's going to do a Chantal of 2001.
Oh. But then I think the reason why they've chopped hurricane off is because I think they've taken this point here on Monday further south, closer towards Honduras or Nicaragua.
They certainly have.
That's maybe one of the reasons why they've taken hurricane off the forecast. But to be honest, it could still
doesn't
be
make much odds difference, does it? Really?
No, not really, because a hurricane could either happen, say, on Saturday or Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. It could happen any time, except obviously it will not happen from any of these days here.
Of course, some of the models thought that this would be a very severe storm. The HMON, I don't think it actually had anything in particular, but the HWRF was very bullish on this and still is to a degree, saying Category 2.
Yes. I think we'll have a look at the models right now.
Category 2 a bit like quite. I mean, this could also be quite similar to Ernesto as well of 2012.
It could be. It could be very similar. But we'll just have a look at the models whilst we're about them. Once they load. Because the last GFS run, this one in particular, there you can see Gert at the top of your picture.
Somewhere.
Somewhere is
a white screen right now.
White screen, so it's still on the moment of loading.
It's because could you? Well, I mean, I know we'd like both, but if you could turn your webcam off, there, it'll probably run quicker for us.
No, yeah, no one wants to see my horrible face.
Well, we already got to see you with the Rubik's cube at the intro, so
yeah.
Hopefully, it will aid our speed
to
here.
Stop responding.
Yes, we always get these technical difficulties. So there's Gert near the top, right?
Yes, this thing
current.
here. Oh well, it'll work now. Come on, thank you. That thing. But once the GFS speeds up a little bit,
well, whilst we wait for that, someone asked about Gert and whether it would be coming to the UK.
Well, some of the models have been saying that what's left of Gert will make it to the UK. But to be honest, by then the only thing that should really bring is, you know, some maybe high winds, heavy rain. Rain obviously being the main feature of it. To be honest, I don't really see any major threat with it unless it becomes, obviously, the jet stream gets a lot stronger than what it already is at, and then helps Gert out. But to be honest, I think Gert will just go north of the UK, as what the NHC basically been saying. Go north of the UK, set up there. Apparently some of the models have been saying that it will stall. I think GFS said that as well. The GFS, now they've got it actually hitting my home country, Scotland, thank you very much, and then moving south, but then obviously clearing off into the North Sea, so not really doing much because it's near enough fizzled out by the time it's even got near the British Isles. So,
okay, well,
to be honest,
what's GFS saying about Harvey?
Oh, let's on to the main tropical features here.
Yep.
So you can see Harvey at basically the bottom of your picture at 1007. Can you?
See, we're so far behind here, Craig. We're struggling. Okay, now we can see sort of a little bit of the trend there. Yep, there it is going backwards, and now you might want to bring it forwards again.
Forward.
But it doesn't look like it's going to do much over there in the Caribbean, according to the GFS model, which is somewhat surprising.
But from what I'm seeing here, they've got 92L producing gales to its north.
Oh, yes.
And that's I think, Skype. God damn it.
So that's the one right behind...
18 hours.
The one right behind Harvey.
Right behind?
Yeah. Off towards the northeast.
Yes, but you said white behind or something like that.
Right behind Harvey.
But here's Harvey moving into the Caribbean, pretty much nearly fizzling out there. And then, see, it's basically Sayonara Gert. Gert?
Oh, yeah.
Where the heck am I getting?
Gert's
there's
gone.
Gert.
We know about that. We know about
Gert's up there. But there goes Harvey. And they don't really develop 92L. They don't develop the other disturbance behind it. To be honest, that's not what I was expecting the GFS to do over recent behaviours with it. But I'm not going to go any further out because then they say a hurricane will form in East Pacific and become a major. Let's just not go there. ECMWF, once it loads, they were saying that Harvey was obviously to develop.
If we get,
because these are the older images.
And what do we actually think will happen in the Eastern Caribbean with Harvey? Will it? Maybe we should go on to something else whilst the models aren't being particularly helpful with us here, Craig. But
when it comes,
Dane,
to answer what Nathan said about Harvey in the Eastern Caribbean, I don't think it's necessarily going to fall apart and dissipate quite like Brett and Don did. I think that, I think it'll survive. I don't think it'll necessarily strengthen in the Eastern Caribbean, but I don't think it'll necessarily drop down to a remnant low. So maybe it'll be a tropical depression to the Eastern Caribbean, maybe. Yes.
Really?
Well, on the screen share, you should be seeing the shear tendency. So here's what the conditions are at the minute, according to the 18 UTC wind shear.
A tiny bit of an image. That connection needs to improve, really. Okay, we've got it now. There's Gert right in that massive wind shear, and then we look down to the Caribbean area there, and Harvey...
Gert's about here.
Yep, Harvey is in fairly low wind shear environment, extending into the Eastern Caribbean there, so it could intensify before crossing through those islands. And it's going to happen pretty soon, by the way. It's moving at some pace.
And then, well, we look up here, there's the jet stream, and there's the thing that was called Gert. And then Harvey... I think what could really help Harvey out here is the wind shear to the north and the south. If there's outflow to the north, which there should normally be, it should be getting a little bit of a helping hand, being enhanced so that the storm can get its energy that's used out and then get some new energy in from the south.
And then there's some higher wind shear over in the Central Caribbean there. Do you think that Harvey will be sufficient enough to push it away a little bit?
Well, from what I've been seeing, this thing has actually been moving away, because I remembered this piece of shear was actually over Puerto Rico. They're not going to look like it was actually going to move towards what was 91L before Harvey was born. It was actually going to kill Harvey, so I thought it was bye-bye 91L. But obviously it's moved more to the west, moved away from Harvey. So Harvey might actually have a chance to strengthen a little bit, maybe not rapidly, but strengthening I could definitely see.
When was the last time you saw a rapidly intensifying storm in the Eastern Caribbean? Probably 10 years. At this time of year.
Omar, maybe? No, that was a different time of year.
Because if it was, say, October, which thank God it isn't, not yet. Then
don't mention that one.
We're not gonna.
We've already gone to Matthew. No, I was thinking more about Dean actually.
Dean. Wow.
Anyway, we're looking at some statistics earlier, and Belize hurricanes in August are pretty rare. There's only ever been 3, and Earl is one of them from last year. The other 2 was a hurricane in 1918 and one in 1864. So that goes to show how unlikely a Belize hurricane landfall in August is. That is what the National Hurricane Center predicted earlier today, but is now slightly off it to 70 miles an hour. Dane?
Yeah.
Hey, that's one thing that 1918 and 2017 have in common that isn't called an eclipse crossing from the east to west, from the west coast to the east coast.
Oh dear, oh dear.
Wow. But,
so that's
yeah.
another one for your checklist viewers. The eclipse has now been mentioned as well. And
Jesus Christ.
And people talking about steering hurricanes in the comments as well. That sounds fun.
Steering hurricanes.
Well, the only way you can steer hurricanes is the steering currents. What are they saying,
Yes.
Craig?
Oh, this is mid-level wind shear, so
Yeah, I know.
yeah, that's not really going to help us which way it's moving. But to be honest, it can help us what the mid-level structure could end up being affected by. To be honest, here,
Right.
Gert. Well, I'm tempted to say Gert is still on that wind shear graphic.
Yep.
Take Gert off it.
Gert's
Come
gone.
on.
Gert's post-tropical. If you missed the update just now.
Yes, Gert. I can't say it. Gert has gone post-tropical. You can see Harvey, where it's supposed to is around about here somewhere where my mouse is. The wind shear, well, the mid-level shear is moving into Harvey, and Harvey's moving against it. That could cause problems for the mid-level structure for Harvey. That could either decouple it or erode the structure that was there, so causing Harvey a little bit of problems. But looking at it in general, to be honest, it's not really strong. It's not like it's gonna rip it apart strong. It's not like what happened to, what was it, Adrian and EPAT, where it got completely ripped to shreds by mid-level wind shear. It's not that strong. Whereas Harvey,
wasn't it?
Yeah, it went from full-blown convection to what the heck happened. But
yeah, one or two questions on whether Harvey will move into the Eastern Pacific.
I think it's too early to say anything about that.
Craig is exasperated over there.
Wow.
With that
moving
question.
into the EPAC, I'd say I don't really see it moving into the Eastern Pacific. None of the models have been saying he's supposed to move into the East Pac. He might, but I don't really. That's really, really low chances of happening. To be honest, with what the general model consensus have been saying, it's not going to make it into the EPAC, regardless of what happens, conditions, landfall, anything. I think, yeah, Harvey will just move the way it's supposed to be moving, which is towards Belize, and move into the Caribbean and potentially become close to a hurricane, if not a hurricane, before a landfall in Belize, maybe way before it. It's up to what Harvey wants to do, really, because Harvey can do is the thing that wants to do what it wants. It can intensify, can weaken,
Dane, what are your
I'm willing
thoughts
to
on
see what Harvey does.
What are your thoughts on Harvey?
Are you asking me?
Yes.
Oh, sorry. I was kind of a little lost for a second there. When it comes to Harvey, I think that if it sticks on a northerly track, that the previous cone from the previous advisory was showing, then I think that it would definitely reach hurricane status. However, for the meantime, I wouldn't say anything for certain about intensity or anything beyond the cone, honestly.
All right. If you've got any comments or questions for us whilst we're here, do send them in. I can't see all of them at the same time, however. It would help us if you did start your message with Force 13 all in text. In the meantime, David, are you here?
I am here, and I'm just going to have a look at the tracks, but I think it'll head up over the Yucatan.
Right. Craig, this is the Saharan air layer that we're looking at.
Yes, it is. Well, it says it all, really. Here's Harvey, and here's 92L, and somewhere's that disturbance somewhere. That disturbance doesn't
near
really
Africa,
look like
low latitude.
I think that's where it is in correlation to the NHC. I'm not really going to bother looking.
Do you think that one's one to watch, or?
At the minute, not for now, because obviously here's the massive area of Saharan dust, and this is probably strong enough to rip this apart. I'd say for now, until obviously this salve does not become a danger to this disturbance, then it could become something to watch. At the minute, I would say 92L and Harvey are the ones to watch. I was watching this big area of convection here, and I was having a look at that on Mimic DPW, and it had a circulation in it, but it wasn't really much of one. But a little bit of rotation, and it is moving rather quickly. But I'll keep a close eye on it. I don't think it'll become anything, too worrying. It shouldn't really become a tropical entity.
Yeah.
But here's the Saharan dust north of Harvey. Harvey? Yeah. North of Harvey. It's not really looking like it's going to pose a major threat to Harvey. It might cause a little bit of fluctuation in terms of cloud structure. We've seen that in a few IR images that its structure has been up and down here and there. But to be honest, I think once Harvey gets out of range of it, Harvey should be off and underway.
Connor Armstead wants to know, could Harvey affect the USA?
Well,
that's unlikely because
the
other invests are going to move further north. Those have a higher chance of affecting the US.
Yeah. Part of me wants to say it's too early to say that it will affect the US because, to be honest,
it's looking unlikely.
Yes, it is looking a little bit unlikely, but there is that small chance it might. But I'm not saying it will. It might, but there's the part that's saying, nah. That's a very small chance of it doing so in my mind. From what we all know, it's a really small chance of that happening. But anything's possible.
Realistically, the only possible track through which Harvey could impact the United States would probably be if it started to turn northwest in the Caribbean and head towards Texas, but
or if it
turned that is not happening.
Or if it turned northwest just before the landfall in Belize or the Yucatan.
Yeah, well, that is still an open question, really, isn't it?
Yeah. That's probably where, if it doesn't do that, then it won't hit the US. If it does do it, then it might. But to be honest, I don't really want to go into see what it's going to do when it leaves, or when it's going to hit the Yucatan or not, and what it's going to do after that, because it's far too early to tell. It's far too early to put the nail paper saying it's going to do this, and it may do this in X amount of days or X day, whatever. It's far too early to say in my mind whether it's going to hit the States. I think it will hit. I think it'll either hit Belize or the Yucatan. For now, I'm going to agree with what the NHC is saying for now.
I might be throwing you off here, but someone wants to know, what do we think about 92W?
Oh, sorry, that was a thing.
That exists.
These guys don't know. 92W. I believe that's been around for a short amount of time. It is a high latitude storm, another one that's out at sea. Yeah, any satellite imagery of that?
I don't even see 92W on the JTWC. I don't even see it.
Well, it will be there. We'll come back to that when these guys get themselves sorted out.
92W, from what I've seen, there's not even much of. It's not really much. I think it's just nothing but convection. Let me see here. Oh yeah, there it is. The screenshot, obviously, once it catches up, because I don't want to move too quick.
David, that sounds like you breathing into the mic.
Apology. I just had a screen shared up on the track for Harvey.
Oh dear.
You have that?
If it's showing up, I have it.
No, because I'm still screen sharing.
Yeah. Though I have to say, you might have to give way to David a little bit there, because I think he's got a better connection.
So mine's
But you can talk to us about this, of course, and you can see the model spread there for what is now Harvey. It's still shown as a low invest there. It's somewhat out of date from 12 Zulu. It doesn't make much difference. You can see that the models seem to be pretty confident in it reaching the Western Caribbean. One or two taking it into Central America there, Honduras, Nicaragua, dissipation there. But most of them take it through the Yucatan Peninsula, and then after that, uncertainty. You can see as far as probably the just south of Corpus Christi, perhaps, maybe, I don't know. In Texas, at least. Another one further south there near Brownsville, and lots of others in Mexico, and a lot of Franklin-type paths. Well, apart from emerging into the East Pac part.
Yes.
But
that's what Franklin nearly did, but Franklin didn't make it.
Right. But there you go. You can see quite not much confidence after the experience with the Yucatan. But it does appear that a Belize landfall is a distinct possibility, and even for Mexico as well. And of course, it'll be over Mexican soil eventually. And this is something we've been somewhat worried about this season. The early indications from the season back in May showed that Mexico would be probably in for a bad season on both sides of the continent, Atlantic and Pacific. And the Yucatan Peninsula we had down as one of the hot spots this year. So it would favour a Yucatan landfall at this point. The model consensus is pretty much there, apart from the small possibility it could move further south. It doesn't look like it will move further north and enter the Gulf, say. The northern Gulf, at least.
And I don't know whether, well, we want to go on to the other invest in the Eastern Pacific 93E. And also this weird basin that has decided to wake up and give us an invest, or two invests, called this thing called the Central Pacific that went missing for an entire year.
All right, we'll talk about these now because David's hurrying over and getting some imagery for us. This is the first one. This is the invest in the Eastern Pacific 93, you say?
Yes.
Yes.
93E there. You can see the coast of Mexico off to the northeast. And that could well develop, you never know.
Yeah, the National Hurricane Center has that at 80% in the next 5 days and 60% in the next 48 hours. They say that a tropical depression is likely to form by early next week, with while the system moves west-northwestward at 10 to 15 miles per hour.
We'll get back to Harvey shortly, but David, could you bring us Invest 92L as well, because quite a few people are asking about that. And whilst David shows us that, Craig can give us the rundown. No, not over there, further right. Is it not there on that map? No, it isn't, is it?
It should be.
That's a shame.
Or is it not visit? Oh, well, never mind it.
It's not on that map. Whoever made that.
Yet.
Not on there.
Yeah.
Hold on, hang on.
90.
Yes,
I
please.
think this is 91C.
92L.
Storms.
Yep.
You found it. He's found it.
That's good.
Prepare to puke when you see 92.
Well, it's not that bad. But Craig, what do you think it's going to do? Did I hear this right? Earlier, someone told me that someone told them that this was the beginning of a Hurricane Andrew-like storm, and how preposterous might that be? Craig is sitting there with a straight face.
I don't know.
Doesn't make good television, Craig, when we can't see you.
No.
Personally, I think it's too far out to say anything about what
That is
about where 92L is going to hit or what strength that it's going to be.
Yes, that.
Wait and see.
But it isn't looking
You
too
see all
bad
the
right
price
now.
too,
And
yeah.
what are the percentage chances? 60%, did they say?
Let's have a look. I think it was 60%. I think one of the estimations were. I think that was for 5 days. I'll just confirm that. Once the NHC hurries up, come on. Once Skype stops slowing my computer down. Yes, 48 hours at 60%, and 5 days at 60% as well. So 60-60.
All right, yeah. So it looks fairly good, and I think it could well become the next storm as well.
It could do. It's got a fairly decent chance.
The models, I think, are generally saying that it'll be very weak, aren't they? Unless something's changed.
Some of the models are. Some of the models are. GFS is, well...
Do we still have faith in the HWRF, anyone? I gotta say, the HWRF and the HMON models said that Gert would be a Category 4, possibly 5. But for a brief period, 2 days ago, or yesterday, or whenever it was, Gert did appear very, very good indeed. Only for about an hour. It had an eye temperature briefly of -4, I think it was, and good eye wall temperatures, which would have correlated to 150 miles an hour if it kept it for 2 or 3 hours, but it didn't. It capitulated.
Personally, I think Gert was stronger than they let us on to.
Oh well, yeah.
I honestly,
I think it was
a wind estimate of 104 miles per hour and a Dvorak from I think was yesterday of T5.5. We can average that out and estimate that Gert was roughly 110 miles an hour.
It was probably a Category 3 in truth. But the point is, the HWRF and the HMON end up being closer to the mark than the other models. So do we still trust them? And bear that in mind when I talk about this. The HWRF model now is saying that Invest 92L will become a Category 1 hurricane just south of Nassau, Bahamas, heading west.
Well, to be honest, that's... interesting. Well, this is definitely going to be an interesting.
In other words, towards sort of the Keys.
Oh,
as a Category 1.
Well, I'm looking at EWF. They don't develop it surprisingly. They only have Harvey. Let me just check HWRF.
I'm just going to check to see if they've got anything new on Harvey as well. And well, Category 1, possibly Category 2 landfall in Belize is now what the HWRF is saying. Funny enough, does it survive the landfall? I think it does actually, yes.
The Canadian
barely.
Oh no.
The Canadian drops it to 9.6, drops in 92L to 9.68.
Well, let's take a look at this now, Craig.
Oh dear. I wonder if this Skype's gonna.
We can see it all right. Do you want to talk us through it?
There's going to be a Skype rage in a minute because Skype is being slow.
I've got it on the screen.
It's just a good thing there's spaghetti models about.
Oh, is that David showing that still? Yep.
Yes, it's David's. I don't have those.
92L, the track.
Oh, 92L. This is definitely going to be a storm to watch. Definitely.
So the HWRF thinks it will be a Category 1 approaching the Keys. The HMON, however, which is this new model, which is supposed to be very good, is it? Is
wow.
Well, it's doing down most of the storms so far, and it thinks that Invest 92 will be a minimal or maybe a moderate tropical storm, and then it will die northeast of Puerto Rico.
Well, looking at HWRF, they have a hurricane landfall on one of the Bahamas, on one of the islands in the Bahamas, as a Category 1. I'm just going to try and see if I wasn't looking at 850 millibар height, because if I was, I'm going to look like a right idiot, because I should have read that first.
Mm-hmm.
Based on what you said about HMON, Nathan, I think that what you said there was actually pretty reasonable, specifying how the NHC has mentioned that conditions should be unfavorable for development once it goes north of the Antilles.
Do you think that's reliant on how Harvey does as to what conditions it generates in its wake? Or is it nothing to do with Harvey? It's quite a small system.
I don't know, honestly. I honestly do not know.
Wow. Just looking at HWRF on Invest 92L, they say a 75 mile per hour Category 1 hurricane on the 10-minute wind speed. So on one of the big islands in the Bahamas, a 75 mile per hour Category 1 hurricane. But the thing is, it only just becomes a hurricane as it's approaching approaching the Big Island in the Bahamas.
Here's
it's
another
already
one.
Hitting as a tropical storm.
Here's another
hurricane.
one for Invest 92L.
Oh dear.
Now
Category 2. Well,
the orange line, is it orange or red? I can't quite tell there. But the one highest up there on to the right hand side, that I think was one of the statistical models, isn't it?
TCLP.
So that isn't isn't really applicable. The OCD5 is probably not applicable either. The next one you've got is the one underneath that, which is the HWRF, which is the one we've just been discussing, and it is an outlier at the moment. And then that's the ship model, another statistical model, probably not very relevant. And then you look down, and then you've got quite a few more relevant models there. Generally saying a weak tropical storm, really, weak to moderate. Only the HWRF is going out on a limb saying Category 1, but it went out on a limb with Gert and was nearly right.
Yeah. This is looking at going towards HMON. HMON, it performs pretty well. It performed pretty well with Hurricane Fernando in the EPAC, obviously because mainly it was a fish storm. But it forecasted an Iowa replacement pretty darn well, which I think is one of the new features with HMON is that it's supposed to be better at forecasting Iowa replacements. But
well, here's another one. This is for what is now Harvey on the screen.
And there's the outlier right away as that TCLP, a second category.
Another one not to look at. What were the ones we got to look at there? Well, let's see. Mainly the ones that say tropical storm, to be honest, and most
tropical
of them have
storm close to her.
I mean, a lot of those down there, some significant models are right down there, not even making it a tropical storm. Even well, that's wrong now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Down the date now.
HWFI, good lord.
But yeah, I think the National Hurricane Center has gone with the sort of midpoint of the model consensus, if there is one, for their forecast.
If there is one. No, GFS doesn't even give 92L a hope. It goes 92L error 404 92L not found. Sorry, that joke was completely awful. That's one I should be spending 5 years in jail for. That
right.
Trying to get H1 to load, see what they say for 92L. But Harvey is definitely going to be. It was obviously the main focus here. I just do not know what Harvey could peak as. I mean, Harvey could easily peak as a Category 1 hurricane, mid-range, Cat 1, I don't know. But tropical storm threat to the Yucatan, Caribbean at all.
Well, sooner than that, tropical storm warning still in effect, obviously, for Martinique, St. Lucia, Barbados, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Tropical storm watch for Dominica. It's going to arrive there very soon.
Nathan, I've got this for the team, 2 points. Sea surface temperature, considering the direction that Tropical Storm Harvey is moving, and also Craig and Dane, your thoughts on ocean heat content?
Yes. Well, we've seen what the SSTs are like. They're reasonably warm. They're favourable enough to support reasonably steady strengthening. Maybe not, certainly not rapid, because obviously, you've got wind shear and all that other factors. But the SSTs there are relatively warm. They should help Harvey intensify, maybe steadily, if conditions continue to be favourable.
I believe we're joined by Isaac.
Hello.
Good afternoon, Isaac, over in Texas. One or two of the outlier models are suggesting a Texas landfall for Harvey. Your thoughts?
Okay, bye now. See you guys.
All right.
Tomorrow.
Goodbye then.
He's done.
Is that it? Wonderful.
Yeah. So that
Only
was
one.
Isaac, everybody.
Only one says that. The rest of them say it will move much further south.
That was Isaac, everybody.
You may have seen him in our past shows. As you can see,
Sir.
there's the latest photoimagery on Harvey as it approaches Barbados. And Craig or Isaac or anyone, what do you think of its structure right now? It appears to have. It appears that some of its cloudiness is running ahead of it, maybe, and it's getting a little bit stretched on visible imagery, perhaps.
Well, mind you, it is moving relatively
15
quickly.
knots.
It is moving a bit quick, maybe because I was looking at it this morning, and there was, the convection looked to be getting ahead of it. Maybe the convection was moving faster than the center, but it might be the other way around. Didn't really look into it much, but I know the system is moving at a fair, decent speed. It's not moving slow, shall we say?
And now you've got the sea surface temperatures there, David.
Sea surface temperature, I've actually taken it off at 28, 29 Celsius.
Yeah.
It's favourable enough for Harvey and what he needs.
Around 27, 28 for 92L, I think. Maybe slightly less than that.
If any storm makes it to the Gulf, then you definitely want to keep a close eye on it, because look at all those 30, 31 Celsius sea surface temperatures. That is definitely very, very favorable.
And I think this is one of the reasons why the HWRF thinks 92L will become a hurricane. It doesn't really do much up until round about at this point, Bahamas, and then it really ramps up. To be honest, I really.
But it is one run, and it'll probably change next time.
That's true. It probably will say, "Oh, by the way, we're not going to say hurricane anymore. We're going to say at least tropical storm." But regardless of it, if Harvey does make landfall in Belize and does survive to get into the Gulf, there's sea surface temperatures there to really help it back up under its feet and get it going again.
And I believe we're joined now by Hank, if his audio works.
Yeah, I'm here.
That's Hank joining us from somewhat inland Texas. How are you doing?
I'm good. You could say that.
And what do you make about Tropical Storm Harvey?
Sheared mess with a closed low.
Well, that was Harvey's description from Hank, everybody.
Yeah.
So you're not fond of
short,
it?
But
Well, I mean, it's definitely a tropical storm. It should have been a while ago, but it just looks like a sheared mess. Reasoning because of that is there's easterly shear right now being triggered by a mid-level ridge over the main development region, or just to the north of that, really. And there's also, after it moves into the Caribbean, there's also a upper level low that's going to run into, and it's going to get sheared from pretty much the start as it gets into the Caribbean. And to outline this for you, do you mind if I steal screen share really quick?
sure, go ahead, Hank.
All right.
Yep, we've had it for a while.
All right. So this is the overall. This is the big picture, really. So here's Harvey right here. Here's 92L if you were curious. And you
got it
see
up there yet? I don't think it's gone. Oh, here it comes.
Okay, so here's the upper level low that I was talking about. Here's Harvey moving towards the Caribbean. And as it moves into the Caribbean, it's going to be encountering this. And this is going to induce some northerly shear. And that will prevent it from getting too strong, as if it really would get strong anyways anywhere in the eastern half of the Caribbean. But then this will eventually move into the Gulf of Mexico, and then this will end up somewhere around 80 west, and that's when it'll have a chance to start strengthening. But it won't have a very long window because right after that you got land interaction, as it could, keyword could, hit Honduras and or northernmost Nicaragua. After that, it could try to divert a little bit north due to this low weakening due to the convection associated with Harvey and all this convection that it's fueling to the east of the center of the upper low. And once Harvey moves inland, it could stay inland, or it could be far enough north that if it hits Belize and moves in the Gulf, then it could have a brief window to re-strengthen. Probably won't get too strong. Nothing like Franklin or anything, but it could, regain some strength. But yeah, and the 92L just doesn't really have a chance, honestly.
Really?
Honestly, I don't think it does. You see this right here? See that? That's basically telling 92L that you won't be able to form anytime soon.
Say that's the HWRF, HMON, ECMWF. Yeah, say it to all them.
Let's see.
Because they think it's going to form.
Let's see. ECMWF makes it like, what, a 40-mile-an-hour tropical storm? HWRF means nothing now. HMON, like...
Oh.
Whoa.
Really? That's a shame.
ECWRF was actually the closest one for Gert's.
Maybe not the closest, but it was it was pretty close.
Yeah, it was close.
Did it say like 155 or something outlandish like that?
That was the HMON. It said 160 at one point, believe it or not.
Well, okay, but what I'm trying to say, though, is it's not looking too great for 92L, honestly, and it's got this... It's dealing with the TUT, and that is not good for a tropical system entering into it. And normally, when storms exit it, it becomes a lot more favorable, but then you got more shear coming from this low itself, as this will be moving slower, really, as it gets into the Gulf, and that could either help Harvey, because it'll be helping to induce some rising air, but it also is probably going to hinder it because it'll induce some northerly shear. And then 92L will honestly just probably might not even make it. First of all, it's got this drier pocket right here that it's trying to sustain. Yeah, it's diminishing right now, but short-term trends don't really mean too much with these types of waves. And I gotta say, the best chance it has if it's going to strengthen is if it recurves. If it keeps moving towards the Bahamas, then it'll have less of a shot. But it could get something going in the Bahamas area if it has enough time and if it has enough organization. It could move into the Gulf if it moves through the Florida Straits. Too far out to say, though. Harvey's the more imminent threat to land right now, and tropical storm warnings are posted for the Windward Islands, including Barbados, and tropical storm watches for a few islands north of those.
What do you think about the model spread for Harvey, and whether it will go south of consensus towards Central America, Honduras, Nicaragua, as one or two models say? Belize seems to be the midpoint there, or perhaps north, and I can see one model actually taking it north of the Yucatan Peninsula, believe it or not. What do you think?
Yeah, but I also believe this model is statistical, right. So that's different. Yeah, that's pretty tight clustering right here. Skirting or making a brief landfall in Honduras and then hitting Belize. But keep in mind that's also 4 or 5 days out. And then some moving into the Bay of Campeche and some don't. As far as intensity guidance goes, if I'm being honest, it'll probably... I still don't really understand why the NTC showed a hurricane at first. Because it doesn't... I mean, if it's going to deal with all of this wind shear and then land interaction, you're not going to get a hurricane out of this.
And I guess the chances of a hurricane haven't really dropped either, have they? Really, which makes it a head scratcher.
Yeah,
They're
well,
already pretty low. I mean, it still could happen, though, couldn't it?
it could. I'm not saying it's not going to. I'm just saying that I'm not entirely sure what their reasoning was the initial time about. But regardless of whether it's a hurricane, it's going to be a heavy rainfall maker for Honduras, Nicaragua, Belize, Guatemala, Mexico, Central America, pretty much. And that's something that needs to be watched for significant landslides and mudslides that could occur. As far as what do you want? I forgot what it was. I just lost my train of thought. But if it goes north enough, if it stays farther north, ignore this by the way, and if it stays north enough, and if it can get into more of the Western Caribbean, there is a lot of energy there. There's pretty high oceanic heat content, and if you get that to help the storm, then it could get stronger. And if it does get stronger, it'll be farther north. It'll be far north. It will probably hit Mexico instead of Belize. And I know that they've already had a storm, and they don't really need another one. Even though I heard that Franklin did minimal damage, but whatever. If it bottom line, farther north, the stronger. Farther south, the weaker. That's
usually the rule.
Yeah, that's a general guideline with any wave, really.
But some people are then inevitably going to ask, if it gets stronger than expected, is it more likely to move through the Yucatan Channel into the Gulf?
Well, that's if it by some miracle becomes excuse me. That is by some miracle if it becomes a major, which I don't think is likely. I'm just gonna put that out there. And
one more thing for you. What did you think of the? I know I'm going off topic now, off that topic at least. But what do you think of the peak intensity of Hurricane Gert?
Okay.
Now that it's dead.
Here we go.
I think that this might sound a little bit outlandish, but I think it was a Cat 3.
Well, I do
in all
too.
honesty.
I second that.
Oh, well, okay. So, yeah, it just the Cat 2 peak. I just don't agree with it. Dvorak suggested major. One of my methods that's completely operational and kind of crap, really, also say Cat 3. Just general satellite.
My method says Cat 3.
Just general satellite analysis suggests 3. Yeah, I know it's high latitude. You know, it wasn't.
It's going to be one of those that they're going to upgrade post-season analysis because they've got nothing else to do.
But for high latitude, that's impressive.
Fairly,
yeah,
but all we have to do is go back to the 70s to find plenty more examples.
Yeah.
Well, there's 4 in the 70s and early 80s.
Yeah. It's just. I mean, they might make it 110. Now, I guess I'll just be like, whatever. If they make it a 3, I just be like, okay, cool, I guess.
I could understand 110,
or 5,
I guess.
Yeah.
110 would be my bare minimum. 115 would be my max.
150.
15. Jesus Christ.
I said 150. It's like, wait a minute.
Not bad. Hey, there were some more questions that we just go through before the end of this hour. What do you think of the Canadian smoke going into Hurricane Gert? Have we missed that? Is that what killed Gert?
Huh?
No.
Sorry. What?
There were some Canadian fires that have been going on. The smoke plume was heading towards Hurricane Gert.
No.
I'm not a rocket scientist, but I don't think wildfire smoke triggers a hurricane.
Not triggers a hurricane, but weakens it, actually.
Well, I mean, that could have actually somewhat helped it, well, hindered it, rather. That could have helped it, rapidly weaken in the northern latitudes if the cold water shelf didn't break off and the shear increase. That could have been a slight part of it, but I guess we'll have to do more research into that. But
we'll have to think of it. I'll think about it.
Well, one of the main
oh, someone says you're being pessimistic about 92L, Hank.
I'm always pessimistic, trust me.
I don't think so. Sometimes I'm more pessimistic than you are. And, sometimes. Depends. Anyway,
Yeah.
Craig, have you got any further thoughts?
I have got no further.
Okay, fine. David, any breaking news?
Only off topic, this massive terrorist attack over in Barcelona, and the government's responding and say, that's including the federal government over here, Nathan. Unfortunately, fatalities, massive amount injured, and Australians caught up in it.
How? Oh, we'll get into that. We'll try not to turn political, but we'll see what's going on. Anyway, we'll have more for you in a few minutes' time. We're tracking Tropical Storm Harvey, and Gert is gone now, so that's pretty much all we're doing, and looking at the other invests in the next hour. We'll have more model fun, I expect, and plenty more besides. Stay tuned.
Bye.
Coverage continues in a moment. You can follow Force 13's outlets, the website force13.co.uk, at your service at any time. You can also find us on YouTube, the channel, search Force 13, all in text, and subscribe if you haven't already. You can also find us on Facebook at Force 13, and it's at Force 13 on Twitter, that's the handle to contact us there. You can also add Fool13 on Skype, that's FOOL13, and add extension 9094 on Discord for tropical weather chat.